I think you certainly are, and it's fantastic that you've been doing the debate stages and going on 60 Minutes and debating Bill de Blasio, and on the subject of him not wanting to look at the book. I mean, I wouldn't. We just saw an example of that on my show. I wouldn't read out what I'd read from the book on my show because I don't perceive it to be an appropriate thing to read out loud in public, and I have an audience of adults. So why on earth would we be putting this in school libraries for children to read? I really think that they have royally backed the wrong horse here, Tiffany, honestly. Now look, I'd like to talk a little bit about the future of Mums for Liberty. You've been around for a couple of years now. It's been growing and growing, which is great to see. Terrific growth over the last couple of years. What are your plans? How do you see it developing over the next decade or so?
Continuing to support parents to be effective advocates across the United States. I see Moms for Liberty continuing to grow as more and more parents get brave and find their voice. One of the things that's been the hardest, I think, for people is really standing up and pushing back against all of this woke nonsense. Woke is a perversion of compassion. It's a perversion of empathy. And there's nothing, they can look at you and say, well, oh my gosh, Daisy, what kind of a monster are you? Don't you want children to feel included? Don't you want? Of course we do.
Yes.
Of course we want every child to feel included in the classroom. But the point of the matter is that, queer theory is a very dangerous ideology. And when you look at the founding documents of queer theory, pedophilia has been a part of queer theory from its inception. In fact, the whole point of queer theory is there are no limiting principles. So it does, you look at Michel Foucault and Judith Butler and Gail Rubens, these people that advocate for pedophilia. So the time is now for parents to stand up. And I think that's what parents are coming to understand. You are the best advocate for your child. There's some very, very scary, dangerous stuff that's being promoted in our public schools. And if you don't stand up now and speak, your children will spend the rest of their life on their knees. And that's just not acceptable. So I see our growth, we continuing to grow and continuing to be influential in policy being made at the school board level, at the state level, and at the federal level, ensuring that federalism is really, celebrated and respected in America.
You make such a good point about how parents sort of need to be brave, and they need to feel brave, and they need resources, obviously, to help them do that, which is what Mums for Liberty provides. And I think a lot of that comes down to knowing how to bust narratives, because narratives are such a powerful tool of the left. As you said, woke is like a perversion of compassion. That's a great way of putting it. And like one example, the left, for example, often treat denying children, quote unquote, gender affirming care and sexual education as a hate crime and parental abuse. That's obviously a nonsense, but that's the narrative. What advice do you have for parents on cutting through that narrative?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, just know that if you are in a room and you're thinking something, you're not the only one thinking it. So take every opportunity that you can to have your voice heard in a kind and respectful way. But, say the stuff inside your head, say it out loud, because I promise you, there are going to be other people that are around you who are going to say, oh, wow, I thought I was the only one.